Good afternoon. Pleasure to see everyone. Everybody knows Robert Mahica, Budget Director Extraordinaire, who's to my left. They're going to be handing you out now the printouts of material that we gave to President Trump yesterday at the White House that deals with salt. The issue of salt has never really gotten the attention that it deserves, I believe. It was passed in the Tax Reform Act that had major tax provisions. It was a major tax cut to rich corporations. People focused on that. It reduced the income tax dramatically for wealthy individuals. People focused on that. But way down in the text of the Tax Reform Act was this provision that said ending the deductibility of state and local taxes, hence SALT. And it's complicated, and what does that mean, state and local taxes? And you start to talk about taxes and people's eyes glaze over. But it has a truly profound effect on taxpayers. The way the tax code has worked up until now, you pay state taxes, you pay local taxes, and then you deduct them from your overall income and pay the federal tax on the remainder. For the first time ever since the tax code went into effect under President Abraham Lincoln, the federal government says, we will also tax the tax you paid to the state government and the local government. So they now tax the tax that you paid. First ever tax on tax. So what does it mean? It means if you pay taxes of $100,000, you are taxed on that. If you pay property taxes of $20,000, you are now taxed on that. We have worked for 7 years to reduce the tax burden on people. We have a 2% property tax cap every year, which means property taxes can't go up more than 2%. If you now tax people's property taxes, that's like a 30% increase. We've lowered income tax rates all across the board. If you now tax people's income tax, you raise the rates more than we've lowered them. It is devastating to New York State, especially to New York State. New York State costs our state about $15 billion in additional tax revenue. To add insult to injury, if you understand the way the tax code works, New York State, you have 50 states in the federal government. New York State pays more into the federal government than it gets back. It pays in about $35 billion more than we get back, right? We get federal aid, we get transportation aid, we get health care aid, etc. If you tally up what we pay Washington and what Washington gives us back, it's a $35 billion differential. Highest differential in the United States of America. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan, God rest his soul, used to rail about this point. Another fact, 50 states, 10 contribute money to the federal government, meaning they pay in more than they get out. 10 contribute, 40 get more than they pay. Think about that. 10 pay in, and 10 states subsidize 40 states. This from an administration that is against redistribution of income, right? When you say well, maybe the rich should pay more, what do they say? Oh, no, that's redistribution. You want to take from the rich, and you want to help middle class and poor people. That's wrong. That's redistribution. Talk about redistribution. It's not just on the individual level. They do it literally on the highest level, the federal level. They have 10 states paying in and 40 states taking out. What they did in the Tax Reform Act was especially insidious because the states where they raised the taxes, coincidentally, were all Democratic states. The states that get additional tax cuts are all Republican states. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a Republican Senate. It was a Republican Congress, a Republican president, and they used the moment to play politics with the tax code. It was disgraceful. It was all about using that moment and that alignment of politics, Republican president, Republican Senate, Republican Congress, to actually use the tax code to change the trajectory of the country. Economically, we are less competitive than other states now because our taxes are higher. From an administration that says lower taxes, lower taxes, lower taxes, what did they do? They just raised New Yorkers' taxes. Our taxes are raised. Other states are lowered. Our taxes have that SALT provision. It is grossly political. It is grossly unfair. It's also economically counterproductive. It hurts New York, the Northeast, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and it hurts California. Where are your economic engines? New York and California. The economy is, the president's all about grow the economy, grow the economy, grow the economy. Where is it growing? New York and California. So take a spike and put it right in the gears of the economic engines that are delivering for you. We went through this with the president. He had previously said in the press that he was open to discussions. He said once again that he was open to discussions, that there have to be changes to the tax bill. And if there have to be changes to the tax bill, he would like to see an overall package, an overall transaction that we could work out, because he recognized the issue. And he said that he has been hearing about the issue. So Lawrence Kudlow was in the meeting. He's the chief economic advisor. And we said that we would follow up. He knows New York, Mr. Kudlow. And we went through the numbers, and we will be having those follow-up meetings. In the meantime, I'm going to be starting a nationwide campaign to make sure people understand this. It's complicated, it's detailed, it's also devastating. I've spoken to Governor Baker in Massachusetts. I've spoken to Governor Newsom in California. I'm going to be speaking to all the governors. I'm the policy chairperson of something called the Democratic Governors Association. I want to get it on their radar screen. I've been talking to our congressional delegation, other Congress people. I'm going to go back to Washington to meet with Speaker Pelosi. And my position is very simple. They did this when they controlled the Congress, the Senate, and the White House. It was a gross injustice. The Democrats now control the Congress. They should not do anything of any significance until the Republicans right this wrong. And this should be one of their top priorities.